Hello and welcome to the Dollar Store Commander channel, where we make you a strong Commander deck at dollar store prices. If you want to be notified of any new videos or deck techs in the future, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It's free to do and helps out a lot. Today we're going to jump into the Duskmourn House of Horrors release with an upgrade series on the Commander precons. We're going to start off with the Jump Scare precon. We're going to take 10 cards out and add 10 new cards in with a budget of $25. So without further ado, let's hop into the upgrades. The commander we're going to be playing with and having in mind for these upgrades is the face commander Zimonem Mystery Unraveler. We're going to take advantage of her landfall ability to help cheat out our bigger creatures after they've been manifested with her first landfall trigger. The first card we are taking out is Yavimaya Elder. Yavimaya Elder can sack itself for 2 mana to let you draw a card, and when it dies you add 2 basic lands from your deck to your hand. We will be replacing it with Wayward Sawtooth. This card costs the same amount of mana to cast it, and it will help you hit multiple land drops during your turn to help trigger your commander's ability. Next up is Kefnet the Mindful. It is a decent body for 3 mana, but the problem is that it isn't going to be a body for us unless we have 7 cards in our hand, which won't be too often. So we're going to replace it with Experiment 12. When it or another creature we control is flipped face up, it gives +1/+1 counters equal to its power. Next up on our chopping block is Scab Ruinator. Again, a strong creature in terms of power, but it can be dead in our hand if we don't have enough creatures to exile in our grave. So we're going to add a creature we can cast from hand, grave, or cheat into play. It's Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. This guy helps you ramp, draws you a card, and you should have no trouble paying for the escape cost since it doesn't matter what type of cards you have to exile for it. We now have the backup commander, Kian Corrupted Memory. She'd be much happier as the commander of her own deck rather than taking up the space in this one. So let's fill her spot with Vannifar Evolved Enigma. This is an excellent way of helping us cheat out creatures that are stuck in our hand, and if we don't have any at the moment we can cheat out, we can just pump up all of our manifested creatures that we already have in play. Next we have the overly costed enchantment Sandworm Convergence. This is 8 mana and it only makes us tokens during our end step. So why not just pay 7 mana for a creature that makes us tokens on each player's upkeep? Koma Cosmos Serpent. This card makes 3/3 bodies during each player's upkeep, it cannot be countered, and it makes itself indestructible by sacrificing one of the tokens. Much better include. Oversimplify is a decent board wipe, but I don't like giving my opponents a creature that could be bigger than our own. We have enough board wipes in the deck already anyway, so let's put something else in. Threats Around Every Corner was probably not in the precon originally for a reason. It's too good! It manifests dreads when it enters the battlefield, and when a face down card we control enters, it lets us put a land from our library onto the battlefield tap, which triggers our commander's ability so we can manifest dread again or flip a face down card we already have. Simply perfect synergy. This next include was so clever that I would have never thought of it, so I have to give credit where credit is due. Andy Zupke included this in their article for upgrading this same precon, and I love the idea so much I wanted to share it. If you want to check the article out for yourself, I'll make sure to leave a link in the description below. Grazilax Illithid Scholar says when a creature we control becomes blocked, we may return it to its owner's hand, and whenever one or more creatures we control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. This will help us when we happen to manifest anything that isn't a permanent and rather keep it in our hand. So we simply attack with the manifested spell, and we either draw a card whenever it deals damage to our opponent, or we can add it back to hand whenever they block it. We will just replace Giggling Skitterspike to add this much more interesting inclusion. Sataniel Hierophant is cute, but how about something much more impactful? Ancient Greenworn lets you play lands from your graveyard, and has whenever a land entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability, that ability triggers an additional time. We have to run the Landfall Harmonicon. This is a sad cut because I like Cackling Counterpart, but it's not doing much for us in this deck. So let's put in Entis Restoration so we can have 2 or sometimes 3 landfall triggers at instant speed. For our last cut, we'll be replacing the instant speed pump spell Biomass Mutation with Secret Plans to provide additional card advantage. Our total for these upgrades comes to $22.72. The price listed was made using the cheapest listed prices on TCG Player before tax and shipping. Before we end this video, let's talk about some honorable mentions. What cards will we put in if we want to go over our budget? We can start by adding more ramp like Dryad of the Elysian Grove, adding more powerful creatures to cheat out like Nezahal Primal Tide, as well as some of the other new cards that didn't get to make it into the list like Abhorrent Oculus. And if you really want to splurge on this deck and not too worry about eating anything other than cheap ramen for about a month, you can always add the fetch lands to help out with more of your landfall triggers. That will conclude this precon upgrade, and thank you to those who stayed till the end of the video. Please make sure to tune in next time when we upgrade the Miracle Workers precon. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss it, and thanks for your time.